All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of Global Tank League. Today is the opening day for Global Tank League. We had a great match earlier today with Yaga and UNL, and UNL coming out on top 3 to 1. Tonight kicks off the opening of the Championship League, and the first game played on the North American server, and it's going to be between KMD and Poke. I am your host tonight, Halfway Human, and I'm also joined by special guest commentator Desert Storm from Immortals. Desert, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be here, Sinister.
Great. Glad to have you on board. Tonight we have, like I said, KMD and Poke. KMD's been around the block a time or two, and just looking at the roster for Poke, so have they. It's kind of, in your opinion, is this kind of the old Panda with a couple new faces?
I would say it's sort of his Immortals, sort of like 2017, with a little bit of Panda flair, and the fact that they have Smell, their Batshot player, Tubbins, obviously, and then they have Anarchy and some new faces in the form of SoCal Dope Kid, and then obviously DJ Darkness is a transient player from Polar who just shifted over right before the tournament. So I would say it's sort of a hybrid of the old Immortals guard and a little bit of some of the Panda faces intermixed with some of HK's competitive friends.
All right, good deal. And look at this, is actually KMD's coming out with Ruptured Ninja. Boy, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a couple of the NS players come back. You've seen Revered, Ruptured Ninja, and some of the other players come back. So I think that's going to make for really good strats, or at least um, you're going to see that sort of tit for tat with Tubbins versus Ruptured Ninja, which is a callback to obviously some of the old WCLs and global maps and GTLs.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm excited to see it, and I can't wait for this first match to kick off on Himmelsdorf multi-base assault. And if you're not familiar with Global Tank League, it is 8 on 8, although teams can play 7 on 7 as well. But it is 8 on 8 multi-base assault, and what that means, there are two flags. So teams have to be prepared to guard two flags, as one team is defending and one team is assaulting. And I want to say, Kinzo99, thank you for the follow. So, in your opinion, Desert, how do you feel about multi-base assault?
I like it. It's certainly better coming out of global map. It's certainly better than encounter and team destruction, just because those sort of metas are very HE and you kill one tank and hide, or it's very slow. Whereas in multi-base, someone has to win, and there has to be an aggressor. Um, so I think for that perspective, it's better because it forces the action, and so it's a better viewing product. Maybe it's a little more memey because it can be super arty heavy and you can get some weird stuff. But overall, I think it's a better version of comp.
Now, with multi-base assault versus encounter, do you think we see a lot different tank selections when you know you have an objective in mind, and that is to defend the base or guard the base?
Yeah, you're going to see a lot more niche picks like Stritz Fongs, like these 279Es, for example. You're going to see a lot because there's a limitation on tanks. You see a wider diversity, sort of the ecosystem of NBA. There's a lot of niche roles for holding certain angles or doing very selective roles, either via capping or defending a cap. And HE is a big part of that with decapping. And so you see a lot more light tanks and obviously already. And obviously with these 279E picks, the double 57 heavy, 113s and 1Zs are going to be staples here in the double E4s. But you see a lot weirder picks, I feel, in NBA than any other format.
Very good. Well, with that in mind, it looks like we're getting ready to start game number one of and here we go. Actually, the game is launched, and we're off. And it looks like KMD is going to be defending first, as Poke will be attacking. Where do you think that Poke is going to go with the E3 and the E4 right off the bat? As we did see, they had two in their lineup.
All right. So we have Poke Squad here in blue, KMD on the defending side.
Uh,
Historically, what we've sort of seen with Tubbins teams in this is sort of an aggressive recap play, and I feel like the 279Es and the 113s all sort of speak to that. They're probably going to have the E3, I would imagine, go to B0 and just set the tone there. From KMD here, from this lineup, I think they're going to be pretty standard, which is going to be put the E4s near the windows, play standard there with their 705A, playing the mouse roll that a lot of teams use. Super conks. And what you're seeing here is the 1Zs here from KMD are actually trying to get bleed on the banana cross by poking that. You have the 113 using those buildings to actually try to scout out that 1-2 for an aggressive A play. These 1Zs here are just angling out to farm the banana, so they're going to detect, because there's no one coming down that banana, they're going to be able to get a sense of where poke is or where they are because they're not down banana, so they can be somewhere else. So what
This
you're
is
seeing here
interesting.
is a standard setup from KMD. Just aiming down banana, trying to get farm, but obviously poke is up top, not there. So we'll see an aggressive E-cap here, very, very likely from second team poke.
I was about to say this is very interesting. I don't think I've seen this yet in some of the games that I've covered on Himmelsdorf. That one team is taking all their tanks to the top of the hill. We're going to see how this plays out. As it looks
I'm
like
having
they've got
trouble
no
hearing you
choice
there,
but be.
Sinister. Here we go, Dope Kits, Milo, Smil, SoCal going straight down that line, just going to set the pressure there to get that edge.
Looks like they make a play to take all their tanks on the far side, going down the A line. However, if you look over here, KMD does have some tanks coming on the back side here, down the Banana Road. SoCal does take a big hit. Ooh, SoCal goes down. Wow. Big hits by the E4s right there. Man, oh man. Another big hit into Feta Milo over on the other side. The only ball, it looks like, over here, as well as Line Cruncher and Cruiser doing some work on the far side. Wolfie's now down to a one-shot, I believe. Yes, he's down to a one-shot. You still have the bot tank, Tubbins, and Anarchy in the back corner there, hiding off that building at the A0 line. Ooh. Dope Kid takes a couple of big hits. KMD was able to rotate early on this, and they were able to get themselves down on Banana Road. They recognized quickly that Immortals was not, or I'm sorry, Poke was not coming down on Banana Road. So they took those three tanks, rotated down on Banana Road, and set themselves up for a crossfire. They now have Milo, Smil, and Dope Kid trapped all along the outside of that A-cap. And it looks like KMD's lining up here to maybe make a push. Ball's got to be careful as the bot tank is loaded. That T-57 heavy, he may have been looking for shots, but he does have an E4 way back there in the corner that is paying attention, so he may be looking to get some cross shots on it as well here. Bot tank coming down the hill. Smil has now turned his tank and positioned himself to fight off the three tanks in the back of KMD. And here we go. It looks like Poke is going to make the push, and they are going to take the three tanks in the alleyway. Xanon in the back has come up with some support, but those T-57 heavies are raining in right now on the the WZ-111-5As of KMD, and the 113 as well from Cruiser, as they do take one down. And down goes the only ball. That does put Poke back on top. And what a great rotation there from Poke. They were able to take back command on the of the guns in the game. That is, they still have 5 guns in the game to 4 guns in the game for KMD. They are down in the hit point department, but they have more guns in the fight still. However, Dope Kid has to be extremely careful. If somebody sneezes on him, he is about to go down. Conoco moving up here for some shots, and he's got a big gun in that E4. Let's see what he does. Hubbins takes a big hit from him. And now Vapor's going to poke the corner. Let's see what he does here. He puts one in the smill. You have the 50B of Ruptured Ninja, who is running away now. He looks like he's going to come back and he's going to try to get some pressure, possibly, from the Banana Road. Xanon does take down Dope Kid. Dope Kid's down, so Xanon's going to look to come around behind here. But his poke is making a push on both E4s. Let's see how this pans out here. Vapor may not have a chance to reload before he can get off another shot. We'll see. And down goes Smill. Smill's down. Hubbins is down. Anarchy's now getting hit. KMD, he does eliminate the E4. However, Rupture does take down TBG Anarchy. That leaves Fate of Milo versus Xanon and Ruptured Ninja. Rupture, I believe, has one more shot, but I don't think it's going to matter as a Super Conk eliminates Fate of Milo. And that is it. Round number 1 going to KMD. Job well done, boys. And that was a good fight. Seem to have lost Desert halfway through that. Technical audio issues. We're going to try to get Desert back online here. Some good damage coming out of Konkyo and out of the E4. And look at Vapor. 7k damage out of that E4. Wow. What a game for Vapor. Look at that. I now hear Desert. Desert, are you back with us?
I think I am. I think I can finally hear you. For some reason, I can't hear you when the match was going on.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right, here we go.
See how, just from that, you saw what really sort of changed that was Rupture's backside play on the top when he was able to come in with the 50B. Overall, you saw really good sort of poking there by the 57 heavies, although their pen ratios weren't that good from poke. You saw that aggressive B cap play. They obviously bled one of their 279Es got doubly forward straight from the window, but they were able to sort of recess back into that back lane behind the cap, pull back there, goad some of the KMD players in. But KMD obviously with some of the rotations there with their 50Bs able to bleed and just out rotate poke there.
Absolutely. And I think another big play there, at one point, Poke made a very good play in pushing the 3 tanks that were kind of stalling what they had originally planned in those 2 WZ 115As and the 113. Really, when you're on that road, you kind of box yourself in. You have no map control there in the corner. And they had 2 E4s just devastating back there and putting in heavy shots on that back road.
Yeah, the fact that the KMD was able to sort of rotate those E4s late and still have that alpha in the game, and the 50B clip was, I think, ultimately a big thing for Poke to contend with. Obviously, they have good clip tanks, and Dope Kid obviously was able to survive on low health, but that alpha at the end of the games can just finish you off.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Vapors with 7,288 damage. I don't think I've ever seen that.
That's good.
In a GTL.
That is good.
It's funny that it would happen to Vapors. I was talking with Wrath before the game and asked him who he thought the MVP of his team would be, and he said Vapors, and that's first game out of the bat.
That is, and he really did. You're absolutely right. I mean, he took 13 shots. He hit 13 shots, and he penned 10. He can't ask for any more out of an E4 than that right there. He kept his gun active, he kept his gun in the game, and he kept it doing work, and that's what's important, especially in competitive play. All of those who may be joining in that have never played competitive before, maybe you've never seen a match before, I don't know. But for those of you in this game, penning shots is number 1 in competitive play. If you're not hitting shots, you're not penning shots, you're not doing damage. Remember, there's not 15 of you, there's only 7 or 8 people, so doing your part is crucial.
100%. And when a player only does 300 damage or 0 damage, everyone around him has to make up for that. And it's sort of damage is sort of the currency of the game in terms of who wins and loses. Obviously, there's the cap at play, but So much of the cap is just goading teams to make bad plays so you can do damage.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. So it looks like on KMD's side, they're going to come out with a 4005. Whew, first time I've seen it
And
on
you've
this
seen a
map.
lot of those go down the 9-0. You see a lot of those teams play the top of that 9-0 on the top near the castle and have that 4005 just police up top and be able to get shots of that B7 and or shift it down to B0 and then just get shots on cap. What would be interesting though is if they're doing a 4005 play on that 9-0, but they're moving more of the 1-2 cap.
Now,
That's
do
where
you
things get
think
really interesting. But we'll see if a lot of teams, typically, especially in the Champs League, are doing the A6 cap just because it's ease and just how from what you saw from Poke last time, it really allows a lot of aggressive play really early on, where you can just take teams and just throw all your guys into the cap and turn it into a massive brawl.
now in your opinion, do you think that the 4005 may end up per se E9 looking for shots down that road over by say D3 to keep kind of tanks at bay
Yeah,
from
so
coming around and flanking?
correct. What you saw from KMD from the last match in their setup when they put their 1Zs on that D3 to bleed banana, one of the ways that you can counteract that is by having a 4005. You can either boost it up into the 9-0 by having a tank push it, or once it gets up there, it can take just a blind shot at that D3 where a lot of teams poke and you can try to get like a thousand bleed off a tank. And that's one way that you keep teams honest and don't allow them to bleed that banana road on the 8 line is by moving or mobilizing that 4005 up there just to take HE shots. Additionally, you can also HE splash the B6 area from that little broken archway or the broken overhang near the lip of the underneath path of the castle. A lot of teams like to use that.
All right. Well, it looks like all the tanks are selected. Do you want to go down Poke's lineup?
Pokeester, Tubbins, and E4 with DJ Darkness in the E3, Paratroops, Batshot, SoCal IS7, TBG Anarchy 50B, along with Bot Tank, formerly rated in 50B, and then you've got got a couple other tanks there to accent that lineup.
Two 113s, I believe it was Dope Kid and Smill. I'm going to go ahead and take a stab.
Yeah, for some reason the audio is glitched out to where I can't hear you in game, so I'll just let you do the color commentary.
All right, very good. So here we are, and it was Smill and it was Dope Kid in the two 113s. And really quickly, we'll run down KMD's lineup. So KMD's coming out with a T110 E3, a 4005, a T57 Heavy, the Compwagon 7, the Super Conch AMX50 Bravo, the 5A, and a 113. And here we go, game number 2. KMD is up 1-0 right now. So as KMD lines up to attack here with Poke defending, they're going to send the 4005, the E3, and the 113 up the hill. Meanwhile, they got their 50B heading towards the A cap. 5A, Superconch going down the road, but look at this over here on the side of Poke. Poke has decided to take the early aggression, and they're going to run straight for the hill. They kind of sense where that 4005 is going to be, and they're going to try to take advantage of that early. Smart play here, however, they need to be careful over here on the A cap. They don't want to get too far away from that because Poke, does have a lot of tanks on the bottom side of the hill, so they need to be super careful with that. So Cruiser does spot 1, he does spot 2, he does spot them all and says, oh boy, there is a lot of Poke tanks on the back side of that hill. And here they come, looking for some shots. Vapor's getting himself into position. But Poke has successfully blocked them from coming. But here you go. It looks like Poke's going to make a play, or I'm sorry, KMD's going to make a play for the cap. Does this force Poke back down the hill as they did see all those tanks coming through? The 4005 takes a couple of big hits here. And they have now applied pressure on the B cap. What a great sense, as they did get these tanks spotted up over here, and Tubbins is taking a couple of big hits. X-Man's got himself in a good spot to catch Tuppence coming across, and Tuppence is trying to back off. SoCal and DG Darkness coming over to try to reset that cap. The bot tank takes a hit. And they are going to push the tanks to the top of the hill. Here we go. Oh boy. Vapor with a big hit. He eliminates the Bat Chat right off the bat. Ouch. Cruiser's going to go down. He's going to live a little bit longer. He is going to go down the hill and ram into TBG Anarchy. However, Snow should get him right here. Snow does get him. He does lose his engine though in the process from a shot from Wrath of Achilles in his T110E3. So over on the cap over here, we got SoCal going up against Conquito and Blanchard and Warthog as well. However, Kaneko, the best, goes down. SoCal's in big trouble right here as he is tracked, it appears, and he does get himself out of it before he can get shot by the 5As. The 5As are now taking shots from the backside of the hill as Poke comes running to the rescue of the cap. Back over here in the corner, Tuppence is down to a one-shot. He is going against Ruptured Ninja. He does put one in the Ruptured Ninja. However, Rupture still has a shot, and he does take him out. Let's see if he rotates and goes towards that B cap, which it looks like he might do. However, it may be just a little too late back up on the hill. It looks like Wrath has got, yes, it does appear Dope Kid got the backside of Wrath and will eliminate Wrath right here with one shot. Yes, he does. X-Man puts one in the Anarchy. Anarchy does return a favor and put one into the Super Conk with Smill coming up behind him. Smill misses a shot and does take one from the Super Conk. Rupture's lined himself up with some shots. He does put one into the bot tank. It is Ruptured Ninja versus still 5 tanks alive for Poke. So it looks like this round is going to go to Poke, but we'll see. There's still a tank left and he's still got a gun in the game. However, he's got all of Poke bearing down on him right now, and he is on reload. Bot tank does appear to be loaded. 1, 2, and that is it. Poke making a comeback here on Himmelsdorf and brings the series back 1-1. Job well done, Poke. Just a quick review of the damage here. And let's see. The big winner on the side of Poke is TBG Anarchy with 5,414 damage. Oof. Good game out of Anarchy. But X-Man also had 3,158 out of his Super Conk on the side of KMD. And they did have the Vapor 1,800, that Bat Chat. Ouch. One shot for all the money right there.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Even with that, the 4005's obviously like his only goal there is just to get a shot off and die. But even losing a tank, Poke Squad was able to play up top, win that, and then rotate back and just manage winning up top on the castle, and then decapping with SoCal and keeping that. You know, it had, at some point it hit like 12 seconds, and they were managing to get guys back and just get in position. That takes a lot of communication there, so that was just absolutely critical for them. I'm a little surprised by KMD when the Poke players were spotted going up to the top of Castle on their early banana push. I'm surprised that either KMD didn't play more aggressively and/or rotate a guy back just to make sure that they maintain the top of that hill. Because if like another 1Z or 113 was up with them, it would have been that much harder for Poke to take it, especially with the 4005 there just staring down.
You know, I'm kind of surprised they didn't make a bigger play over to the one side cap because Poke had a lot of their tanks committed to the base of that hill.
Yeah.
I thought if they got enough pressure over on that A side cap over at F2, it's very possible they could have been hidden enough behind the buildings where they would have had to make the trek all the way down to the A line, and by that point they could have had themselves kind of set up for some shots. It would have put them in a tough position where they would have had to either make a choice. Do we go up and try to kill the 3 tanks on top and then go to the cap, or do we just abandon this and go to the cap right now?
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Especially with rupture in the 50B, that sort of left side cap is super viable. Especially with their really mobile lineup, they could have moved their tanks over there and just sat in the buildings and just have their guys just hold that ramp at the top of the castle and just hold there and just see what happens. Because obviously the guys are gonna either have to make the Poke's gonna have to make the overplay and do what they did and kill the E3 and all those tanks up there, or they're gonna have to just turn and burn and go play cap, and that's exactly what you want. But overall, 1-1 here for KMD versus Poke.
No, absolutely, 100%. All right, let's get it changed around and get lined up for game number 3. The series is now 1-1 again. We're all tied back up here.
And if you haven't noticed for the viewers on Twitch, sort of KMD's always been that sort of anime historic technical team where they play things very set up. What you're seeing here from Poke is a lot of aggression. You saw on offense how they wanted to, or on defense they wanted to take the hill away from the enemy, which is typically in this sort of format, the attacker takes hill on Himmelsdorf. But for Poke, they're sort of tuned to that regressive mindset where they're going to YOLO. They're going to try to turn things sort of into a shit show and just try to pound people out. And so we're going to see here on Prokhorovka, I'm going to say that I think you're going to see either like a pure one-line rush or a zero-line rush using the top of the hill here. I don't think Tubbins teams typically just sit across mid and bleed. I think you're going to see is an aggressive action, hard, lots of mediums and heavies just down one lane, and then trying to out-rotate the enemy once they do that aggressive action.
And I would heavily agree that probably the most important spot on Prokhorovka is to unplace the defending team from the B1, C1 area. If you can capture that area from the defending team, you set yourself up in a great position to take that, I believe it's the A cap there at E4, E3 maybe. But we shall see.
So far we have 2 super conks for both teams.
And I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Welcome. First game of the season for the Global Tank League in the North American Division. And for those of you who missed it earlier, I highly recommend going and checking out Mr. APCR's stream of Yaga versus UNL. It was 4 great games played. They were very close, all 4 games. There were some great strategies in there. Overall, it was a great match to watch. And UNL did win 3-1, by the way. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, and great use of the waffle by them too. The new 15-centimeter waffle.
That was
a lot of teams
absolutely.
are integrating that into their strats.
Are you kind of surprised here with the 2 Object 279E picks out of KMD?
Not really. Just those are really good if you can prop them up on a slight divot to where it increases the angling of that frontal armor, and they're just really good hold tanks. I think what you're seeing from here is those T95 E6s. I think those are going to be the spearheads here of a one-line push here if I had to put my money on anything. I think you're going to see the 113s, Batchats, and T95 E6s just go ham down one lane and just try to bust KMD open. And that's where those 279Es are going to be able to hold up, hopefully, against some of those tanks. But when teams have picked T95 E6s as new as it is into World of Tanks Valor, typically you see it with just a YOLO because it has a high-end top speed. Accuracy is really bad, so it has to just get up really close to enemies, and that's typically where you see a lot of YOLO rushes is from those tanks.
Absolutely. So my son has been in and out of the room tonight. So sorry if I go kind of silent every once in a while. He's running himself a fever and decided to puke in his bed, getting himself all cleaned up now. And of course, as a 3-year-old, they got
Favor's
someone
done
to
pretty
announce that.
well in the first 2 matches. We'll see if you can give us a nice third round here.
I'm excited. 1-1, and here we go. Game number 3. KMD versus Poke. All right, it looks like both teams are set, ready to go. Game number 3 coming at you right now. And let's see, as Desert Storm had predicted, a possible one-line push. Is that what happens? It does look like, it does appear that Poke is lining up for the one-line push. If we come over here and we follow along with Poke, it does look like they're going to try to get their Super Conks to the center of that hill to provide some hold down cover fire. The T95, E6s, the 113s, and the Bat Chats all lined up on that one line to make that push. Vapor was spotted, and he did spot both Super Conks in return. He now bails out. However, it looks like KMD does not have a lot of support over there in that corner, as they do have two 5As up on the hill. Batchat's probably going to go back and sit on top of the train tracks, but they do have the only ball way over there in the corner, and is 279. They did get spotted though. Let's see how KMD turns the tide on this. As Tubbs takes a couple of hits coming across in his Super Conk. It does look like Ninja's going to rotate down the hill. Are they going to put some pressure on Jack here? Yes, he does get a shot on the Jack. The only ball does rotate down. Good counter here by KMD, as they did get their tanks positioned. And they do have their Bat Chat. Warthog, I'm sorry, their T100 LT Warthog coming around the backside. He's going to go with the one line, try to farm out from behind. As Jack has taken a couple more big hits. Now half health. KMD is ahead on the hit points. It is close, but they are still ahead. The bot tank's rotating back with paratroopers, as they may be looking to spread out the fire and get some angles here on KMD. Smill is holding down the A2 line. Again, Smill, bot tank, and I believe it was also paratroopers. Trying to spread out the angles, trying to create angles of fire, basically trying to get some side shots at some of these tanks in the center, as everybody at this point is just kind of holding their ground, waiting for somebody to make a mistake. So this is going to come down to who makes a mistake first. Is now you have Dope Kid over here with Smill. Both 113s, T95 E6s spread out with the Super Conks and the Bat Chats in the corner of the map. So now the T95s rotate back towards the center. Let's see if they make a play here, as they do have one heavy over here, Rupture Ninja, kind of on the wrong side of the hill. He is kind of on his own. Is this kind of bait to make Poke push? Or is he going to be in trouble if these two Bat Chats can get in position? However, he does have some backup from the backside of the train tracks from both Super Conks. However, Cruiser has taken some big hits, and he is half health as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here, as the bot tank does get respotted, but he does spot Ruptured Ninja in return. And they are going to make a play on Rupture. Here they go. They're going to make a play for it. But here comes Vapor in his. And both T95 E6 is also coming on him. They're going to make a play for Ruptured right here. Vapor's in that hole as well. As Rupture starts to turn, here they go. Paratroopers gets ammo rack, but they do ammo rack Rupture in return. Rupture now in big trouble. He is down to a one shot. He is out. Vapor's taking some big hits as well. Vapor's about to go down, but they do take out Paratrooper in return. The bot tank takes another big hit right here. However, Cruiser is down to a one shot as well. Over here in the corner, the 2-113 still holding strong against the 279 in the WZ-111-5A, a blind archer. But here comes Poke. Super Conks leading the charge, but DG Darkness does take a big hit. He is now almost a half health tank, as well as Anarch, both T95s almost half health. Conquillo the Beast, or the Best, I'm sorry, is now spotted in this 279. Holding it down, but Cruiser's got to be careful. Warhawk does get spotted now. Warhawk is spotted. Bot tank is now loaded in his Bat Chat. Both tanks. Both tanks may be playing a little bit of cat and mouse here. His cruiser needs to be super careful. Depending on what tank hits him, he could end up being a one-shot, two at best. Another example of both teams trying to feel each other out here, as Poke is just looking for a weakness right now. They're kind of looking for a weakness out of KMD. They just really want to see what the best strategy to attack is here. They're up on tanks right now. They still have 4 minutes left. They don't need to panic. They don't need to worry. They're just kind of feeling out where the best place to attack is going to be. As you saw last time, they grouped up. They didn't come make a rash decision, and they were able to push the 5A of Ruptured Ninja and also take out Vapors at the same time. However, they did lose Paratroopers, and it looks like Monster Hunter takes a big hit in his Super Conqueror. He's now down to a 2-3 shot at best. Cruiser takes a shot now. Somebody called 911 because he is on life support. And he goes down. Down goes Cruiser. But he did manage to put a shot off into Sir Tubbins. The hit points are still fairly close for both teams. Poke does have the advantage. They still have 55% of their health left, whereas KMD only has 40% health left. And they do make a push. Here's the push. Dope Kid does take a couple of big hits, but he does ammo rack, and they do eliminate the 279 of the only ball is down. The best over here still has a lot of hit points. However, Monster Hunter's down to a one shot, and he goes down. Anarchy does take a shot. However, there are only 2 tanks left, as they do now apply the cap pressure. You still do have the light tank roaming around, a Warthog, and you have Funkio back here in the corner. Put the pressure on Konkyo. Both Super Conks coming in a bat chat. Konkyo goes down via ammo rack. Ouch. Warthog taking some big hits. Oof. And down he goes. And that'll do it. Game number 3 going to Poke, as Poke now takes the lead 2-1. There you have it. Job well done, Poke, as they take game number 3 and take the series lead 2-1. Looking at the damage real quick on the side of KMD, you had Warthog and his light tank doing some work with 2482 damage. Over on the side of Poke, the big winner out of Poke, the bot tank in his bat chat doing 3521, but you also had Dope Kid doing 2257. Tubbins and his Super Conqueror doing 2105, and TBG Anarchy. Quadruple twos right across the board. 22222 out of T95 E6. Desert, what'd you think?
So the lineup, gave sort of tipped off the 1-2 play a little bit, but I think ultimately what was really unique about that was how KMD played that, and that they played the 1-2 line to sort of give it up. So they had a position where they could just bail and then recover with those tanks in the middle, which was a pretty unique setup. Typically what you see teams is they'll either leave the 1-2 empty and allow teams to take it, or they'll put 4 or 5 tanks there and just go down swinging. But they sort of have an inbuilt bail into that strategy, which is really, really good. The only issue was that the Immortal second team here, Poke, was able to just out-rotate on KMD, especially with those bat chats, and get some overmatches on their medium tanks, because obviously their lineup is a little bit heavier here with the light tank and the bat chat combo, whereas the double bat chat with paratroops and bot tank were able to eventually overpower those and obviously move the T95 E6s back. I feel like the rotations is ultimately what doomed KMD. But what you just saw from that was a really, really good, unique setup, is that they were able to bail on that 1-2, sense the pressure from Poke, get out with minimal farm from them. I think there was like 95% health from a full-scale 4-man, 5-man, 6-man push, and able to recover to really good positions. It was just the rotations thereafter that ultimately, I think, lost him the game there. Yeah, it's definitely shades of PC. I'll say that. It when you have those kind of builds like those like we have a plan A, plan C, plan B, and especially here where they're able to have guys under tracks and have guys in the middle, you're sort of planning for NBA by its very nature sort of a coin flip, but it's about eking out those margins and building tank positions and or strats around like your base setup that give you more flexibility. And for KMD their setup allowed them to bail and be in cover positions where they can just bog those 113s that are spearheading that and just have them just get stuck. And for them, that allows them to make, essentially what it turns the game into is encounter. Essentially what that match was just a regular encounter battle where one side takes half the map and the other side takes the other half, and it's who out-rotates each other.
Oh, I totally agree. And by the way, I just want to announce this real quick that I believe I have fixed the audio issue in game, so Desert should be able to join us this game. I just switched everything over to
Okay,
my phone, so he should be able to hear me the entire time now.
okay, perfect. But I think the only issue was the DPM of the 279Es. While they had the staying power and survivability, I feel like the ammo rack with the weaknesses, the module damage of those tanks, also sort of is issue-matic, and they're really slow, especially on soft terrain. And so you saw the 113s and the T95 E6 is able to make just aggro pushes or rotate back where you can't do that with 279Es.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It looks like Poke's coming out this time with an M60. And the light tank, I'll tell you what, Warthog in T100 LT for KMD last game, he was putting in some shots. He was doing some work. He remained unspotted for the longest time down there in that K line.
Yeah, the light tank's super helpful on proc, especially because if you're spotting correctly, you're able to see exactly where the enemy's going to go. So if he scouts the E3, he can see all of those tanks at the G1, H1, F1 coming through, and immediately signal to his caller, if that person is the caller, rotate their players based around what they're spotting, and that's pivotal. And that's some of the intel that a light tank gives you.
And that's exactly how a light tank's supposed to be used. I think for a lot of people listening to this, maybe you're a caller, maybe you're not a caller, maybe you're new to it, whatever it may be, a light tank is information. And information in competitive play is valuable. That's what we're all looking for. That's what everybody wants to know. If you have an idea right off the bat of where tanks are going, where they're going to be, what they might be doing, you're ahead of the game. And that's how these light tanks are played. And look for paratroopers and Warthog to both be doing that in this upcoming game number 4.
So you were talking about sort of diversity in picks, and you can see just lineup to lineup how things change, and that's one of the pros of NBA. You see like the batch out, you see like the Stritzfong 103B, the M60, and then you see a lot of light tank play, 279E. So you're seeing quite a few tanks. Typically, you see a lot of chisels, a little more chisel play, some machines occasionally, but there certainly is a wide spectrum of tanks to choose from in NBA, especially with tank limits too, where it's not 3, 4 super kongs on one team.
All right, and here we go. Game number 4 coming up now. This is do or die for KMD. They need to win this one to keep going. Need to win this one. We'll see if they can pull it out here. So as I had kind of promised earlier, that hopefully Desert would still be able to hear us. Desert, are you still with us on game number 4?
I am. I'm here. Ready to see
All right.
Pro KMD second match on Prokhorovka here.
Here we go then. Better late than never at this point. All right, and
So
we're
we'll see
on.
where the light tanks are going to go.
What's interesting here is the light tank for KMD is going right for the, it looks like he's going to go right for the 0 line, whereas the light tank for Poke is going to go right up and make sure they're not making some kind of one-line push, but it does not appear as though they're going to. They're going to set this up pretty standard with somebody at F6. A couple of tanks at F6, should I say.
Yeah, the B2 Super Conk Anchor with the A6 Stritchfong 103B, and then obviously you're seeing the Bat Chats on the 9.0 make that play on Warthog here. I mean, that's a pretty standard play. They have the M60 in the back, able to farm with the 350 heat rounds. KMD is sort of just playing this. What they're trying to do is just probe middle, have their light tank gain intel. What they could potentially do here is pull back and make a delay. Oh yeah. Looks like, yeah, light tank's been spotted. He's going to have to drop here.
Had to be super careful with both Bat Chats coming up the hill. He does survive and looks like he is going to make it on out of there, but he's running for his life right now. But this does give Poke the hill, as Poke now owns the hill.
Vapors, I'm moving on the J2 here, just moving up that one line. So I think what you're going to see here is they've sort of spread to the middle here, KMD. They're going to have to make a choice. They're sort of playing a position where they can play either A cap or B cap. Without that hill control, B cap is sort of a no-go here. So what they're going to have to do is just pressure that A and just see if they can get some bleed and maybe farm a tank or two. Looks like they're rotating also a heavy back to that J8 position underneath the tracks. Blind Archer here to cover the light tank as he makes his escape from Doke and Milo bot tank and their Bat Chats.
He does get spotted. He is spotted. It's been a pretty... so far, it's been a pretty standoffish type of game. I think there's still some feeling out. However, Warthog takes two more big hits. Oof. Oh, here comes bot tank. I didn't even realize these tanks were on the bottom side, but they have made a push over, and now they really have KMD in a bad place right now. As you've got Vapor coming over to try to help suppress. Milo does take a hit, though.
And Dope Kid can sit there and just sling that 350 heat round. He just got to worry about the crossfire from that F6, which he's taking here as he gets ammo rack and pulling back smartly.
It does look like KMD's going to group up, and they are going to make a push. They know both Bat Chats are in the back of the map, so they are going to try to make the push here. Here they go. They're going to take on Smill and his IS-7 right off the bat as they come up and over.
And here's where Poke has sort of built that Stritchfong into play, where they're going to be able to farm Rupture, Kaneko, Demon, and all these guys as they go into that little divot here. Here's where SoCal could sit there and absolutely farm Anarchy. Tubbins off on that left with Super Conquerors can just have hold down shots. SoCal has to reposition here. The Bat Chats need to mobilize and kill that straggler at the J7. Overall, good focus here from KMD and just pushing and realize that they're not long here and they're losing map control and they have to just take some away from Poke here, even losing tanks in the process.
Very good focus fire out of both teams. Very good play by KMD, but is it too little too late at this point as they are now surrounded?
51% health, 48 now to 73. Depending on how that, if Vapors is able to 1v1 paratroops on the wing there, that might give them a chance, but ultimately, if once Vapors goes down, that's gained just by virtue of map control from the medium tanks. And
they do lose another tank.
Vapors is on the reload here.
They do lose another tank. I think it was their 5A. It was Blind Archer who does go down. And Ruptured gets ammo racked. And he gets ammo racked a second time, so now he has got to be permanently ammo racked at this point. Demon takes it. He's got to be careful because he is a one-shot. They are going to push on that Bat Chat, who is loaded. And there he goes. Demon now, 18027.
Cruiser and Rupture pushing on Tubbins here on the 2v1, but Tubbins is punishing Rupture here. Anarchy giving the cover fire. Bat Chat with fresh reloads. Fate of Milo's coming in.
Ooh. Cruiser
Milo
down.
with one more on Rupture. Can he finish it? Bang. Milo finishes it. Just Demon left.
Mission accomplished.
And there it is. Job well done, Poke, as they're going to take the series 3-1. 3-1 in favor of Poke. On the opening night of GTL.
6 points for Poke here.
Yes, sir. 6 points for Poke and two for KMD. Absolutely. And if we look at the damage on the side of Poke, you had Anarchy and Live and SoCal both coming out with over 3k damage. Sir Tubman's not far behind him with 2,800 damage. And over on the side of KMD, you had Demon coming out with over 2,000 damage. And right behind him was, looks like it's going to be Konkyo the best with 1465. Really, it was kind of a slow start to the game. It was kind of a filling out process, and again, it was his light tanks just getting information. But I think really what the tipping point in this game was is Poke got their bat chats to that hill and was able to get that light tank off the hill, and that's the dangerous part of
Yeah,
having a solo tank up there.
correct. Yeah, and I think for the viewers on Twitch here, what you've just seen from Poke and KMD is sort of two antithetical teams. You have sort of KMD, a more defensive team, which is really sort of the prototype for NBA, and then you have Poke, which is just ultra aggressive. Tubbins is all about pushing boundaries and just going right into the enemy and not allowing them to think and just making you react to him and then rotating. And so what you've just seen here is you're going to see a lot more aggression in how teams deal with that in NBA. You're going to see teams that are on defense go on the offense, and how do teams react. At the end of the day, it ultimately comes down to rotations, but that's always something to watch, is that balance between defense and offense.
Absolutely, and that's why I've always been a fan of NBA's. NBA, in my opinion, for you new viewers out here that may not be aware of what NBA is, it's multi-base assault, meaning there are two flags to capture. So there's an attacking team and a defending team. And what I really love about NBA is it's more strategy driven with a goal in mind. If you look at Encounter, you look at Encounter battles, and you look at it through the times of WCL and even GTL in the last couple of seasons, or really any other league out there that's been running Encounter. So there's really no strategy involved that with the cap. That is, you don't see a lot of quick capping strategies in Encounter. So really, it's funny. Like on Proc, for instance, you don't see a lot of teams playing the cap. They play the field, they play the hill, they play all over the place with pretty much zero regard to the cap in most cases. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, only on certain niche maps where they have really wonky caps. And another thing that's really, I would say, is detrimental to Encounter is how often Encounter maps change. That's one of the things that's balanced quite frequently. You'll see an Encounter map where like the cap just flips from like a corner to like the middle of the map, and so it's really hard for teams to stay on top of those kind of things because the spacing of the cap doesn't necessarily follow PC standards. And so you run into some really weird situations where the cap isn't viable at all because it's in a totally different location than it normally is.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. Very good point, and that's what's always made NBA more vital, I believe, than Encounter. And not only that, but when you look at leagues and you look at league play, what happens if there's still tanks left in the game? They're at the same kind of hit points, and they still have the same number of tanks left. You have to do it again. So with NBA, the thing you're always promised is a winner and a loser.
Yeah, and especially when streams and these matches can go on for a long time, and you're doing best of five, best of nines, draws really take away, I think, from the sort of the viewing quality and also the playing quality. You just get so frazzled, you get sort of just fizzled out just playing for draws, and it just sort of dulls a lot of the creativity that you're seeing here with tank picks and strategies and that blend of aggression.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I think it's just it's so much more of a not so, I guess what these way to say is not so meta. You're going to see the same type of tanks. It makes more tanks viable when you have an objective in mind. Say we need to defend. These are the two caps we need to defend. So what tanks would do best doing this? Whereas you look at Encounter and you say, you know what? Where do we want to play? And in this corner, that corner, or this corner, we can pretty much go anywhere at any time. So you kind of see the same meta tanks over and over and over again. We're here, like you just witnessed a couple of times. I mean, you get a little bit more variety, and that's what always makes things
Yeah.
interesting. Is you see new things.
Anyway, Sinister Phase, I want to thank you for having me here today as a commentator. I want to thank the viewers who took time out of their day to watch GTL, and more importantly, I want to thank the GTL mods who made um, this campaign of competitive play in World of Tanks in this season possible. Um, so Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you here for having me, and it's been a pleasure, and it'll be a continuing pleasure to be a player here.
Oh, well, we're more than happy to have you come out and commentate. And everybody, again, Desert Storm from Immortals coming out and commentating tonight with me, your host, Halfway Human. And thank you so much, Desert. And we look forward to having you back on the show. And we look forward to seeing you guys on stream as well very soon.
Have a good night, Sinister. Have a good night, guys.
You as well. Thank you, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming out and watching tonight, the opening night of GTL Season 3 North American side. Earlier today, you saw UNL going up against Yaga, where UNL came out on top 3-1. Some great games played there, just like we saw some great games played here between KMD and Poke. Poke coming out and winning tonight 3-1. Hats off to both teams as both teams played one heck of a series. It was a pleasure to watch. It was a pleasure to host. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much. And stay tuned as tomorrow night, 9 p.m., we have a special treat for you. We have RTC taking on L7. I can't wait to see it. I hope you guys tune in tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and have yourselves a great night. Enjoy.